Alright, welcome everybody. Another build guide for last epoch here. This time we have a Paladin build. This is a Judgement Consecrating Aura Paladin build. I've already published a video with a little bit of a showcase for 400 plus corruption. If you want to see how the build works during echoes, I'm also explaining some things for boss fights. The premise of the build is pretty simple. Especially for boss fights, whenever you're throwing your javelin, that gives us extra damage on our next judgment. We are pressing our Holy Aura because we're getting a little bit extra damage with Judgment and Volatile Reversal. As you can see, we have a pretty nice damage here. Of course, that's because of Volatile Reversal Double Rift, but generally speaking, the build has a really nice clear, decent single target damage, and it can do basically all the content in the game right now. You can do nice monolith farming, you can do dungeons, you can do bosses. It doesn't have a lot of issues, it's fairly tanky, and we have a lot of recovery because whenever we're casting Consecrating Aura, the aura deals damage to our enemies, but it also heals us. And you can also benefit from leads if you want to do that as well. Now, let's get into the build. We're gonna start with the skills here. Of course, Judgment is the first one here. We are traveling to Consecrating Aura. This is what makes the build happen. We want maximum duration here, and we're taking 2 points on Divine Destruction, and we're maxing out Pious Offering. Basically, what that does is every time we're casting Judgment, we're using all our mana pool, and we're getting a lot more damage multiplier out of it. And of course, that's why we're using Volatile Reversal afterwards, so that we can recover our mana. We're getting 1 point here, 2 points here just for traveling. Those don't really matter much, and we're going for 4 points in Flaming Soul. Now that assumes we have +3 on Judgment from our relic. If you don't, then you can get 1 point on Sanctified Relic and max out Divine Destruction, and do not go right here at all, or get a little bit extra area, because those points don't matter if you can not have the +3 Judgment. Now, Volatile Reversal, pretty standard setup. We're getting cooldown recovery rate here, we're getting cooldown recovery rate here. Do not take Timeless Wisdom, this will break your build because makes Volatile Reversal not restore your mana, so please don't do that. We're getting the double rifts, the more damage over time multiplier, and the more damage, and a little bit movement speed here, just to finish off with a skill. Holy Aura, nothing too exciting, but this is actually one of my favorite Paladin skills because it makes things so easy when it comes to gearing. We're getting a hefty amount of elemental resistance and endurance here. This is just traveling. We're getting a little bit poison resistance and cleanse ailment whenever we're pressing Holy Aura. When you're pressing Holy Aura, your stats from Holy Aura double. And we're getting 40% healing effectiveness here. 1 travel, fire penetration, very important here, and 100% global fire damage. A little bit extra when you're pressing your Holy Aura. Now we are using Javelin. Javelin has 2 purposes here. First of all, we are making it a battle standard, and we are adding duration and healing per second. We're also adding dust to flag, so basically when you throw your Javelin, you can activate it, and that's basically another movement skill. And we are traveling down here. This is the most important part, Sacred Forge. We're getting 60% more damage on our next judgment, and that applies to our Consecrating Aura as well. Battle Standard, because of Banner of Restoration, actually provides a lot of recovery, so you can play with those points here and here, and if you need Battle Standard to be up all the time for bosses and you need that extra recovery, you can add a couple of points here and you take them out of this. Now, personally, I'm using Lance here. I like having Lance. We're getting the 2 extra charges, invulnerability while lancing, and we are traveling here. This is maximum threshold. If you don't know how that works, it depends on the actual distance you're traveling with Lance. So you want to go a little bit further away from the bosses and then Lance, and you will get a high threshold out of it. We are also getting Disarming Blow that adds a little bit extra frailty for the bosses, a little bit of extra defense. If you want more, you can take a couple of points from Don't Charge and put them there, and that's gonna be a little bit higher. And this skill is optional. You can use Rebuke, you can use Silsra, Ras, whatever you like. I love the double charge lance because it makes echo farming extremely fun and very easy. Now, let's get into the planner. Because this build is actually very beginner friendly and new player friendly, I'm gonna provide you with two planner. This is the exalted one, a little bit higher level of items of course, and I'm also having a level 85 with just rares and a couple of things just to provide you a little bit of guidance. The passive tree on this one is a little bit different. We're gonna talk about it later. Now, let's take a look at the passives, both passives and skill trees. As per usual, I have everything recorded so that you know which priority you should take things. Now we're starting the Sentinel here, 8 points of the Vitality, extra life, we're getting the value point of the block, we're getting the damage reduction. That's the only damage reduction we have from our passive tree, so very important to take it. And we're getting a little bit extra recovery rate for our movement skills. That makes Lance a lot faster, a little bit extra health, nothing too exciting. 1 point here value for the block, 10 points in Void Knight. Technically you only need 5 points to get Volatile Reversal, but I like the 10 points here. It's nice health, Void Resistance, Physical Resistance, Abyssal Endurance is just really good. And for the Paladin, we're getting the Penetration here, we're getting Attunement, Elemental Resistances, Health, 1 point here for the block, and so that we can open up the spell damage. Spell damage actually applies to Consecrating Aura. We're getting this one, and of course this one with the shield. We're also getting a lot of flat armor out of Sanctuary Guardian, which is really awesome. More healing effectiveness, more life, necrotic resistance, more attunement here. This is 7 points, but you can technically take 8 if you need that, and take 1 point from here. And I'm also getting Reverence of Duality. You can grab Light of Rayleigh if you want, but I prefer the extra hit points. I prefer the increased mana as well. It's gonna help with our build. This makes the build being a little bit more zoomy, but less tanky, significantly less tanky. So that's it for the passives. Let's talk a little bit about the gear here. Now, first and foremost, the most important part of this build is Hand of Judgment. That's why we're playing as an unarmed character. We are getting a lot of area of effect from our attunement for our judgment, and that means that we do not need to invest points in destructive impact. And also, it's a lot of quality of life. We're getting a lot of clear out of our AoE. It's really awesome for echoes. Now, this provides us with a lot of attunement, a lot of fire penetration. If you have with LP, add attunement, add hybrid health, that's really good. For our helmet and our blade, we just need attunement, mana, increased health, and health. If you want to seal an affix, for prefix, it's gonna be increased mana percentage, like tier 2, tier 1, tier 2 increased mana percentage, or for suffix to make you more tankier, increased percent armor. Now, because we're getting a lot of flat armor in this build, increased percent armor and strength is actually extremely valuable. It has a very high value on our ESP. So if you can get it anywhere, please add it. It's gonna increase your armor a lot more. As you can see, we already have a healthy amount of it. For the belt, you need elemental damage over time and cleanse all your prefix on your suffixes, as much hit points as you can get. Now, I want to stress out, for all of those pieces, you do not need exalted elemental damage over time or attunement. If you have exalted increased health or health, that works as well. They're very good pieces. For your armor, instead of Solarum Plate, you can also use Dawn Plate for extra armor. You're gonna need to cover your endurance a little bit more, but that's up to you. If you have a nice Dawn Plate, you can craft it. The flat armor is just amazing on it. Now, for the rings, we need attunement, healing effectiveness, life, and endurance. Same here, if you can get 2 opal rings, that's the best base for our rings. It's gonna make volatile reversal pretty much with our duration on consecrating aura, 100% uptime. I'm still missing my opal rings here, but it doesn't really matter. I'm almost 100% anyway. For the boots, you're getting attunement, increased movement speed on your prefixes, and hybrid life and increased cooldown recovery rate on your suffixes. Now, I also add experimental affix for haste after you use traversal skill. We are using 2 lance charges on echoes, so we're getting a very hefty amount of haste. It just makes us be a little bit more zoomy. Solo command for the relic, that's the best base, of course, and if you can get with +3 or +4 judgment, that's gonna be awesome. Other than that, you can use increased healing effectiveness or elemental damage over time on the prefix, and life, endurance, or poison resistance. You need a little bit poison resistance to cap it out, and that's it. And then I'm using Cradle of the Erased. You can use basically any seal that you want. I like Cradle a lot because it gives us a lot of free block from the stacks, and because we're a paladin, we are having a very high amount of total uncapped resistances, so we're getting free block effectiveness here. And if you have healing effectiveness, life, block percent, or less damage taken on block on your affix on the Cradle, all of them are good. Whatever you have there, it's gonna help you a lot with your tankiness. For the amulet, you don't have to use Strong Mind, but one of the problems here that we have with this build, because it's a semi-combo build, we need to use Judgment and then Volatile Reversal to get our mana back, otherwise our combo breaks. So what happens is we are getting stunned after we're using Judgment sometimes, and that's gonna break your combo because Volatile Reversal is not gonna restore your full mana pool, right? So I decided to use Strong Mind. If you have with a couple of LP, it's fairly common to get with a couple of LP Strong Mind. You can add mana. I have mana and tier 6 life on mine because I want to improve my health pool as much as possible. It's one of our defensive layers, right? As much high hit points you have, your endurance works better, your recovery from Judgment and from your battle standard on Javelin works better, so that's pretty awesome. Now, for the idols are very simple. You want 2x2 adorned with increased healing effectiveness prefixes. On the suffix, you need block effectiveness or, better yet, health. One of the two. Any other suffixes don't matter for the build, but the main thing is get healing effectiveness on your prefixes. As you can see here, I still don't have very good idols. I only have one with block effectiveness. And for the small ones, just use the cleric adherence. Healing effectiveness on the prefix as high as you can. 17% is the highest, so if you have 4 of them with 7%, it's a nice healing effectiveness boost. And on the suffix, you can get some resistance to cap your resistance that you need, either physical or poison or necrotic. Now, let's get into the blessings. We're gonna go here on the screen. For the Black Sun, you can get health or the spell damage leads. Both of them are fine. I got a maximum health roll on one of my recent farming sessions, so I thought I'd replace my leads on that. I might go back to leads, but we'll see. End of the Storm, this is actually one of the builds that uses the flat mana here, because we want as high mana pool as we can to use more mana for our pies, offering more damage multiplier. So get a nice roll here from Lagoon. Reign of Dragons, this is crit avoidance with our passive. It's gonna cap your crit avoidance very easily. Edge of Winter and Spirits of Fire, this is armor of course, and we're getting a lot more tangy out of it. Now, I'm gonna talk a little bit about the secondary planner. This is for a beginner player, for a new character that doesn't have all the equipment and all of that. I have a few different things on the passives. The skills are pretty much the same. The only change here on Judgment is that I'm assuming you don't have +3, of course, so we're not traveling down here for Flaming Soul. We're just grabbing full Divine Distraction, full Serenity. That's gonna give us a little bit extra healing effectiveness, and extra damage on the high enemy's health. So it's gonna make your life easier on bosses and rares, and the rest are pretty much the same. I do have them recorded as well as per usual. Now for the gear, I have added just the basic affixes that you need. Of course, you're not gonna have four tier 5 ones for the most part if it's a new character, but you can see what you need and start aiming for them, of course. And the way that you prioritize affixes on your gear is healing effectiveness, elemental damage over time, life, cap your endurance, and that's pretty much it. Now you can use whatever amulet you want. If you have an oracle, that's gonna be nice. Less damage over time, again, is always pretty good. And for the idols, it doesn't change anything. As you can see, I have crap suffixes because you don't need suffixes to start the build with. Just get high healing effectiveness out of them, and then you can try to min-max them with block effectiveness and life as suffixes. Now, one small thing before you get Hand of Judgment, if you don't need that, you can just use a regular pair of gloves with attunement, and you can also use increased area of effect on skills on your gloves and on your amulet. And you can go into your judgment, take 1 point here or 1 point here, couple of points if you need to, and just add a little bit extra area here to make your clear much better on echoes. You're gonna get your level ups, you're gonna be having a nice quality of life out of it. For the passive tree, most of the things are same, but I do have just a level 85 passive tree here, and I'm changing a few things. We are actually getting alignment here, which is 240% healing effectiveness for free. Now, on my, let's say, more of an end game version, I'm stacking a lot of attunement because attunement also adds to healing effectiveness and damage on our judgment. So basically, if you reach about 100 attunement, you are gonna have another 400% healing effectiveness. That's why I'm focusing attunement on the tree, but it is not necessary. You can have like 65 or 70 attunement very easily, and that's gonna be completely fine for the build. Alright, I think that's everything that I wanted to talk about it. Hopefully you enjoy the build. You can do all the content. It's a pretty good Molon farmer. It has decent single target. I've hit 450 corruption, 450 corruption on many areas. I've been farming with it a lot. You don't care about any mods. You don't care about crit avoidance, dodge, anything like that. It doesn't matter at all. And you have a lot of damage. You have nice clear. You can do bosses fairly easy. Once you get how to use your volatile reversal on bosses correctly, you're gonna be just fine. Anything you want to ask, of course, you can always come by my Twitch channel. It's gonna be linked on the description, along with the 2 build planners for the build. And I'm gonna get an import from my own character as well, just for a little bit of inspiration for the endgame. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the build. If you have any questions or any feedback, I'm looking forward to it. And if you like those guides, please subscribe to the channel as well. It would help me a lot, and I appreciate it. See you in the next one. Bye bye.